All right, we're good. We are recording. Phone's blowing up on me right now. So if you guys don't know me, my name is Joshua Nelson, and I'm an independent promoter with the company Pruvit, and I'm excited to see everybody here. Thumbs up, you guys still hear me okay, right? I know there's an echo, so if there's too much of an echo, holler at me. We're good? Thumbs? Good? Now, I've always kind of wanted to do this because I don't think I've ever done it. Let me see your teeth, right? Always says, let me see your teeth. Everybody smile. Oh, there we go. Except you, Tony. Stop smiling. Just kidding, Tony. I love you. So, welcome to Customer Hacks. And we're going to be discussing a few things. We're going to be getting real granular on these things as weeks go. And we're going to discuss some practical stuff, but some stuff that probably we kind of gloss over from time to time. So, before we get started, I noticed that this always helps me 100%, is going to a place of gratitude. And I'm a specific call to be grateful, be gratitude. Send a message to whoever you're coaching with or whoever introduced you to this opportunity if they're still in the biz, and just say thank you for this opportunity. Just go ahead and send it to them right now. If you want to make it a little bit longer, you guys can. I know that I try to thank Brian, who introduced me, as much as I possibly can because of what this has done in my life. So go ahead and send that right now as myself. All righty. We're all grateful. We're all gratitude. All right. So first and foremost, I want to kind of call your attention to, and this is something that I needed to have my attention called to, is we do have a YouTube page. It is ketomovement.com. Okay. It is a YouTube page, and there is a ton of great content on there. Videos, Katie Rollins, I think Kendra's on there. Of course, Brian. The very first video on there is Brian's video on talking about watch, connect, enroll. It is straight fire. I think he goes off. You guys caught, he goes off for 45 minutes, but don't let the time deter you, because he has got a lot of stuff and a lot of great content in there. So I want you guys to get familiar with that as you guys have promoters come on. You're reconnecting with old promoters. Have them touch base with that. I don't care if they've watched it or if you guys have watched it. Watch it again. It's something that we kind of need to refresh on. And so while there is a ton of content in that, I'm not going to try to cover all of that. What I'm actually going to go over is the connect part, because I think that is something that from time to time we are afraid of when we first get started. We don't want to utilize the three-way calls and the three-way messages and the resources. We feel, like BU says, we get between the areas of scared and nervous, and so we feel awkward asking those things, and then we get comfortable with it. We finally break through that, and we start to do it, and we see a lot of results, and we see people really conforming to it, and then all of a sudden we kind of get away from it. Now, I'm speaking from a genuine place because I am no different. I kind of a nerd when it comes to this kind of stuff, and I like to word vomit a lot, and so I get into this place where I start to become the expert, and I'm not an expert. I like to learn it. I like to know it, but I'm definitely not an expert. So what ends up happening is the human being in this, end up complicating this situation. So I wanted to go back and touch base on that. Obviously we know the beginning part. We talked about the play that works, right? The play that works. Who here has heard that term, the play that works? Right? It's the play, the numero uno play, right? What do you know about ketones and ketosis? Or I guess, what do you know about keto OS and ketosis, if you want to be more specific? So obviously we know the power there is in that word. It doesn't matter if they know a lot or they know a little. It's a great segue. It doesn't matter if it's somebody that you met off the street or a doctor or what have you. You have a lot of power in that conversation when you ask that question. And then it kind of gauges where they're at. It kind of gives you an idea where they're at with knowledge on it. Have they done the diet? Have they not done the diet? Have they known people? Have they experienced it, right? And why I'm mentioning this as I lead into the connect part is because I think this part is super, super important, because this is where you can actually listen. And when I speak to you, I'm speaking to myself. Listen to what they're saying. And I know that sounds kind of like, well, duh, I'm listening, right? Like, but I mean, really, I did an exercise several years ago where I wasn't allowed to. I had to listen to somebody talk for about 2 minutes, and then I had 1 minute to respond. And my response couldn't be anything but nothing of my opinion or what I thought or anything like that. I simply had to ask questions so I could bring further clarity on the subject they were talking about for 2 minutes. And it was eye-opening, because immediately I wanted to jump to, well, this and well, this, and this is what I would do, right? Like, instead of just asking questions. And who I noticed does that is our fearless leader, Brian James. If you've had a conversation with him, he is extremely intuitive on that. And he genuinely cares. He genuinely cares. But he's asking these questions to get to know you. And so that's what we need to do. Is as soon as we ask these questions, what do you know about ketones and ketosis? A lot of times we get fired up, we come out of these events and we're so excited, and we just want to be like, right? Like, so to reel it back a little bit, you know, ask them some questions. And the reason why I want to emphasize, like I said, on that is to be genuine and transparent about what you're trying to help them with, right? Like, and we call it matching the hatch. You know, if I'm speaking to a single mom, you know, that wants better energy and some better sleep because she's got 12 children and it's driving her crazy, like, I'm not going to be like, yeah, in the gym, you know, let me get you this resource, or let me get you this, you know, person that's in the gym when you can lift like 1,200 pounds. Nobody's going to really, she's not going to really care about that, right? So you're listening. So, and that kind of leads me into obviously the connect part. You know, why is it important? Obviously, because we want to speak on being transparent and really understand what they want, not what we want. Because oftentimes, like I said, we will project that on them. So, going to my notes, sorry. So I'm going to talk about the ways to connect, and I'm not going to try to muddy it up or try to get too crazy, but there are 3 ways to connect, and I want to keep it really simple. The first one, and I think 100% is the most important, is the 3-way message or the 3-way call. Like I said before, you know, I coach with, you know, Brian James, and one thing he said from the very beginning was stop being the message and just be the messenger, right? Stop being the message, just be the messenger. And I, of course, fought that tooth and nail. I wanted to answer all the questions, and I wanted to be the expert, and I kept hearing him say it. And then I finally went to an event, and I heard Mark Rutherford say, like, why would I want to be an expert when we got a lot of experts already, right? So we have Dr. Ken Fords and Dr. Andes, and we have people like Brian and other people that are maybe not experts, but definitely well-versed in this conversation. We have them at our disposal. So these are extremely important for many, many reasons, but it breaks down to the simple fact of, like, I mean, who here's married? Let me show by hands. Who's married? All right. You ever tell your spouse or your significant other, like, something 1,000,000 times, and then they never get it? And then all of a sudden, a total stranger goes, hey, I think this would be a great idea. And they're like, oh, that's amazing. I've been telling them 1,000,000 times. What the heck? It's the same concept. You could say everything perfectly, really. I mean, and give a PowerPoint presentation, but a lot of times it's coming from you. Like, when I tell my brother these things, he still sees the same guy that used to beat him up when we were younger. Like, he's like, yeah, whatever, I don't know, you know, you and your ketones. But as soon as I got somebody else to talk to him, he was like, oh, that really makes a lot of sense. I was like, oh, thanks, man. So I really wanted to kind of cover that. And we've heard a lot of training on that. We have, like I said, and these aren't anything new. These are the basics, but they're the basics for a reason. They're the foundational building blocks of what we have. And I really want to reiterate it. And one thing that I found to be very, very, very substantial shift, I should say, in my conversation was saying it confidently. And it came from actually starting to listen, right? We were talking about listening to what they have to say. And so if you listen to, after you ask them the questions, well, what do you know about ketosis and ketosis? And they give you an answer and you're genuinely listening and you have an idea of what they want, then you can actually start to match the hatch with the proper resource. If I'm talking to another guy that's at the gym, like first and foremost, I'm going to connect them with Brian, right? Like, you know, fellow, I got this really great friend. He is well versed in this conversation. He knows quite a bit. I think you guys would hit it off as far as just an understanding. And I want to give you enough information so that you can make a proper decision, right? Like it's serving them and their purpose versus like, you know, I'm talking to a dad, right? Another father who's got a couple kids. I'm going to connect him with Nick Couch, right? Like he's going to be able to give a lot more information on that side of it. Now, I don't have no kids. I'm not married, right? So you're matching the hatch and you're saying it confidently and you're always tailoring it back to the fact that I want to give you enough information so you can make a proper decision. I really want to connect you for X, Y, and Z, you know, and they really understand that you're there, like I said, to serve them. So obviously that's a pretty simple basic one. Stephen, carrying your notes here. Now, there is a difference, 100%. A lot of times our default at 100% is to go to like something that's very simple, very easy, and that's messaging. And if you're going to do messaging, please keep it on Facebook where people can use the microphone aspect of it or on text message. There's a lot of power in the language. However, and I'll say this once again, every time I'm speaking from a transparent testimonial place, right? Like as soon as Brian said, just get me on the phone, not only did it help the conversation and I was able to connect people with somebody that actually knew quite a bit and had been around this conversation for a very long time, I myself got to hear it over and over and over and over again. I got to hear the language. I got to hear how he guided through the conversation, how he took them from point A to point B. And I still get that to this day. This is nothing new. Like I still get him on the phone. I still put him in messages because I'm still listening to it. Like, and it's stuff that I've heard for the last year and a half. So don't ever shy away simply because of the fact that you've done, oh, I've done this. I know what I'm doing, right? Like, don't get into that space. I've gotten into that space, and don't get into that space. It's super important because like I said, you know, we have a community here. We have resources, and when you are connecting with other people on that same conversation, and then you kind of hear new ways to say things, new ways to guide through the conversation. I'm still learning every single day. So I would highly advise into connecting on a phone call. But if they're not comfortable with that, 100% go to a message. And like I said, something that you can use a microphone. A very simple one, number two, and a very simple one is the Pruvit page. Sorry, it's like dark in the corner here. The Pruvit page. I know a lot of times we call to action that we want to we go like, comment, share, stuff like that. Now, utilizing this, obviously the resources, we all know how powerful that can be. But really what I want to call attention to in the Pruvit page is the Facebook Lives that Dr. Andy and Dr. Heather do. Now, I got into a really, I wouldn't say it's a bad habit, but I got into a habit of just, oh, it pops up, share. Oh, it pops up, share, right? Like, still good. You know, you're still creating credibility. People are seeing that on your Facebook. But I actually heard a hack from somebody like a while back who would get on there and actually tag people as the live is going on. And especially in significant, if they watched it, they would watch it and then they would hear something and then they would go, okay, this person has this, or this is their objection, or this is their question. And then you can actually tag them at that moment and just say minute, so-and-so, second, so-and-so. And it actually brings their attention to that. So, they, you know, because a lot of times people will get on there and go, oh my gosh, I don't want to watch a 30-minute live, right? And I know that if you want to, you can definitely connect with Nick and Kelly Couch, because Kelly will do a granular, like woman's a genius. I don't know how you landed her, Nick, but she will break it down 100% in, and just like, she talks about this at minute this, and this at minute this, and these are super helpful. But I wouldn't want to highly advise, because I started to actually do that. I started to actually pay attention. And once again, I started to listen to Dr. Andy and Dr. Heather, and I was immediately filled up in my belief. And for two, I was able to actually kind of get familiar with new things that were happening, new studies that were happening. And then obviously, lastly, I was able to connect people with these resources through Facebook by tagging them, actually sharing the link to them, sending it over through Messenger. I think that's something that's very underutilized. At least I know I have been, and I think that's one of the most valid things. And it was one of the big things that really drew me into the conversation 100%, because we end up talking about, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but we end up talking about, you know, ketones, and people go, oh, is this another supplement? You know, is this another shake? So I'm so tired of shakes, you know. But hold on, there's a lot of science behind this. I'm not a scientist, I'm not a doctor, but I do know a couple of people that go Facebook Live. If I connected you on that, would you pay attention and listen to it a little bit? And people go, oh yeah, sure, of course. You know, so they're to kind of have it in their head, and you connect them to it. So that's the Pruvit page, obviously. And lastly, and this is probably one of the most important, because I'm going to end on this, is the Ketones 101. Now, I know it's been a while since we have done those, but we are starting those up again regularly and weekly. So it is a little bit of a call. This is going to kind of encompass a bunch of things into it, but this is definitely a big call to action. We are going to be doing a Facebook Live following this in about 13 minutes from the Ketones 101 group on Facebook. So if you haven't gone and liked it, please go do so. We try to make sure that everybody is connected with that. Now, I will be running the Ketones 101 next. It will be different, different guys that are in the group running them. By no means are we experts, right? Like, obviously, we have experts in this field. We all witness them at Keto Academy. They come, you know, Dr. Andy and Dr. Heather, but this is a relatability, like the topic basically, or a tactic, I should say. I don't want to use the word tactic, it sounds bad, but it's relatable, right? Like, sometimes people listen to doctors and scientists and they're moved by the compelling, you know, information, but it seems very distant. But then if you have somebody running like, you know, like myself or Nick or Brian running the Ketone 101, we are much more tangible. We are much more relatable. We have some experience in the field, you know, talking to people. And I will also be doing, and I know others will be doing this as well, some interviews with real life people that have had their own experiences with ketones. And we're going to keep it very, you know, I mean, it's going to be nothing that's going to be super granular like the Facebook Live from the Pruvit page. We're going to be sticking more to the benefits of the box, obviously staying in compliance 100%, no medical claims or anything like that. And this is going to really create a lot of relatability. And so it'll be important to pay attention to kind of who's running the Facebook page and who are they interviewing. Because once again, if you are going right back to the beginning, if you are staying connected with these people and these, you know, future customers, future promoters, and you're understanding what they're trying to achieve, what they want, you know, as you see, like, if you guys have other athletes and bodybuilders, like, now would be a good time to get them on at 9:30 because that's my background, you know. And then if in the future, if Kelly's running one, right? Like, she's a mom, right? She understands the concept of taking care of the kids and homeschooling kids. Do you see what I'm saying? So you're understanding, you're matching the hatch, the relatability. Yeah. And this is also a really great way to segue into, like I said, back into the three-way calls and the three-way messages, because there is the terminology is there's fortune in the follow-up, right? So don't just connect people onto these Facebook Lives and connect people onto these onto these ketone 101s and not follow up and say, hey, you know, like, what did you like about it? What stuck out to you? You know, what benefit really, you know, really caught your attention? You know, and ask them a question and then listen. And then if you haven't already, please connect them into a three-way call or a three-way message. So what do you think of this? All righty. So that'll basically wrap up today's customer hack. I appreciate you guys tuning in. And like I said, the big call to action right now is in 9 minutes now, 9 minutes from that page. Please go, if you haven't already, go like it, follow it, and then let's invite no less than 3 people to this live. And just say, hey, you know, I think you're going to really want to pay attention to this. This is something that you would really, really enjoy. And you can ask questions and you can get some testimony, etc. So can we all raise our hand and we can do that? We're going to invite 3 people, at least 3 people. All right. All right. I believe you guys. Maybe not you, Tony. Just kidding. I love you. All right, guys. I'll see you guys later. And I appreciate you guys tuning in. So